Welcome back to the Side Chat Podcast. This week we have Moevil, Cobey, and myself. We'll be answering your questions that you asked on the last podcast. And Cobey is going to ask them, and then we're all going to answer them. So go ahead and get us started here.
We got 25 total. First one, number 1. What is your favorite plane from each of the wars during the 20th century? Submitted by Chuck Party.
I don't think World War One. I'm gonna go ahead and bypass World War One, but World War Two, it's got to be the P-38. Has to be. Korea would be probably the MiG, and then you go into Vietnam, and I'm a huge F-4 Phantom fan. I guess past that is what war in Iraq and all that fun stuff.
Desert
No
Storm.
real favorite. Yeah, no real favorite there. I mean, I guess the F-16 would be my next favorite.
Let's go Fokker D7. And then I'll take the P-47. We'll go to the F9F-5 Panther. For some reason, I like the Dash 5 better than the Dash 2. We'll go with the Sky Raider for Vietnam. And then I'll take the A-10 for Desert Storm.
Good choice.
And then I guess, that'd be it pretty much, wouldn't it be? Call it that.
Yep. Me, World War One would be the Sopwith Camel. World War Two would probably... God, that's a hard one. Probably the P-51 Mustang because of what it did. Korea would be the Sky Raider. Vietnam would be the F-105. And modern day stuff would probably... maybe the A-10 as well.
Nice.
Could be C-130 too.
Yeah, that'd be Vietnam. Yeah, that too.
Puff the Magic Dragon.
Well, C-130 did a lot in the desert.
Still does. Question number 2. Have you ever flown a plane in real life? Submitted by Evan Law.
It's the only question basically for Cobey, so go ahead and answer it. Mo and I have not.
Multiple times.
What is the biggest plane that you have flown?
King Air 200. Yep. Number 3. What do you guys think? What do you guys think would happen if World War II was extended till 1946? Submitted by Servando Santana. Great name, by the way.
Well, I mean, Germany was pretty much beat to death. They didn't have resources to push back in either direction.
They were done.
Eastern or Western front. I mean, Japan would have fought to the last man. So if you push that on, I just don't know what you get out of it. And their navy was completely obliterated, and they had no air force with which to defend themselves. So really, the only possible option I think in this is if America and the allies, the other allies, be it Britain and a few others, decide to push into Russia and fight Stalin at that point. And I don't know. I'll be honest with you, Russia put forth such a massive army at that point. It's a heck of a fight. I mean, materialistically wise, they probably couldn't beat the Allies since we were providing enough lend-lease to keep them propped up. But manpower, I think there was more boots on the ground Red Army wise than there were American and British. What do you think, Cobb?
Yeah, I agree. I honestly don't think that the war would have gone very much past the winter of 1945. Germany was done. If we would have invaded Japan, it would have been a very quick invasion because they were stripped to nothing. And also Russia, by that time, it had Russia on, was it August 4th or August 5th, had declared war on Japan.
Sure, yep.
So they were there. So I don't think it would have extended past the winter of 45, to be quite honest with you.
Here's what I'm going to throw out. As we know, Roosevelt was our president at that time. He died, and then Truman came in. And the Russia communication pretty much broke down between Roosevelt dying and Truman taking over. The embassy, everything kind of just broke down. But when Roosevelt was still alive, we had an agreement with Russia that they were going to help us fight Japan when the Germans surrendered. And that was still honored, but we didn't trust them as much because communication was just basically falling to pieces.
We didn't trust him, and we didn't trust him really much at all.
But it was getting bad.
There's that old saying, the enemy of the enemy is my friend.
Where my theory goes back to, though, is where Russia agreed to fight Japan. Well, what Truman was scared of was that Russia would just swing through China and defeat the Japanese in China, but just take the land for themselves. At that time, China was their ally. Even though the Chinese government wasn't very strong and it probably couldn't have fought off Russia themselves, there's this huge fear of just the Chinese being swallowed up by Russian troops and eventually added to the USSR. Which is one of the reasons that, if you look at, might have been why Truman dropped the atomic bombs when he did to end the war so quickly, was to save China from being enveloped.
Yeah, I'd agree with that statement. I would agree that we definitely didn't want Russia to take over the rebuilding aspect or the conquering aspect of Japan.
I disagree. I think the reason why Truman dropped the bomb was to save American lives, because their estimates that 1 million American lives would have vanished in the invasion of Japan.
I heard a naval officer in World War II give a speech one time, and not a speech, but a interview, and he mentioned that his theory on the dropping of the bombs would have been this: that if the American people would have found after the invasion that Truman had a weapon which could have prevented said invasion and prevented the loss of American lives, they would have baked Truman at the stake.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
you've
I
got the one
agree.
weapon, you have to use it.
Yep. Next question. What kind of program do you use for your recording? From the Pilot 355.
There's a bunch of programs you can use. I primarily use DxTory for a couple reasons. For streaming, I use OBS. A lot of people record with OBS. The reason why I use DxTory is it allows me to add in a bunch of different fancy codexes, allows me to record multiple audio tracks. It has a lot more versatility, and it's more modular, I guess you could say. But DxTory is a paid program. There's a lot of free stuff. If you have an NVIDIA card, you could use Shadowplay, and so on. But DxTory is I've recorded some 650 videos with DxTory, so.
Oh. All right. In Rainbow Six Siege, what different nations would you like to see included, or do you think the current selection is sufficient? And can you name some annoyances or problems in War Thunder that you would love to modify? From Warping Hurdle 3. Wrapping Hurdle 3, excuse me.
So Rainbow Six right now, each country has four people,
Operators.
four operators. Yep. They're going to be adding, I believe, 8 during this year, which means each country, I believe, will get like 2, which makes no sense. I guess it'd be like 6 and 6 and 6 or whatever. I'd like to see them add 2 new countries, so it'd be 4, 4, and 4 and 4, and try to add more nations in there, which I think would appeal to more player bases, right? One group that was pretty strong in the lore of Rainbow Six was the ROK, and South Korea is a huge market. I think that would actually be something you don't see very much. I guess you say Asian operators, Asian military in very many video games, especially as good guys. So I think the ROK would be, ROK is a huge military with a lot of resources and a lot of training. Why not get them involved in a video game? The other one I kind of bounce back and forth. It possibly could be Canada. That's Ubisoft's. There's some Canadians in Rainbow Six originally. There's some Austrians. There's a lot of kind of this. You have the like Norway and Scandinavia. So I wonder if they might do some type of combination, like Norwegian team or something. I'm not quite sure, but ROK for sure, and then it probably bounce somewhere to Northwestern Europe.
I'm beyond brokenhearted right now. I think it's a disservice that the Israelis have not been included. I mean, that's arguably, and I can make a pretty strong argument, the best special forces unit in the entire world.
Well, hold on. So Ash, which is in the game, is a redhead who's with the FBI, is an Israeli operative. I think, if I remember right in the book and in all the games, there's only one Israeli operator in the entire Rainbow Six books.
Oh, wow.
So it's absolutely minimal if you look at it from that history.
If we're pushing for countries,
hold on, and I don't think, and it doesn't make sense for a NATO group to have IDF operators working. It just doesn't make much sense.
Why not? It works for Jethro Gibbs.
In CIS. Anyway, there's a lot more. I think there's a lot more countries that take precedent over IDF, and especially the international. The IDF is not very well liked in the world right now for many good reasons.
Israel's not very well liked. Period.
For their actions, and I don't. And you want to make a video game that has a stamp of that unit on there right now.
No, I hear what you're saying, but just if the option was to import a country that has roots in special ops, who's better than Israel? I mean, that's a hard question to answer, right? But I mean, America's got tons and tons of money and people, but
you want to start that argument? The GSG-9, who was already in the game, is probably regarded as GSG-9 SAS regards the top 2 above anything the U.S. puts out there.
I don't disagree.
That may be Delta. Yeah, I think I don't like the FBI being in there. I mean, the FBI is nice. I think there should be something else besides that. I personally would like to see an Asian country like Japan or Korea or somewhere, Malaysia or Singapore or something like that in there. That would be nice. And I personally would like to see something just from like left field, like the Australian SAS, or just something, like the I don't know, just something out of left field like that as far as the country selection. I think the characters that are in the game are just way overplayed. I mean, there's only 4 per. I think there needs to be more, and there needs to be a damn American shield.
Yeah, and there's a problem in regards to that. You're right that the characters are overplayed. Bo and I talked about this a couple of times. there's like 3 characters you have to have on every defense and every attack,
Yep.
and
Yep.
those 3 are a must. And then you can fill in the other spots with whoever at that point.
Yep.
But they need to find a way to fix that aspect.
Well, all the new characters are going to be hard counters to the most played characters that are currently being used. So whatever the best characters are from this release, the next 8 are going to be hard counters to those.
And it should be. That's a good maneuver. I like that.
That's smart. All right, second part of the question. Can you name some annoyances or problems in War Thunder that you would love to modify?
Matchmaking. That's
Yeah.
it.
It really is bad.
Some of the flight model stuff.
Yeah, I've got a beef with this one. The matchmaking, honestly, is painful. There's times when we queue up, and as soon as you get into a game, and you know you're fighting decent pilots, you're just outclassed, and there's no chance with it. Just no chance against good pilots. The altitude advantage, the equipment advantage is just unsurmountable sometimes.
Yeah.
The big thing's the speed. If you have a good pilot that uses an energy fighter that has a much higher top speed than you, and they're competent and know how to keep their speed up, then you should never hit them, and B, you probably will never hit them. That's my biggest thing, is frustration. Is if you're flying, let's say, a P-40 and you wound up in a game with a 109 G2, and that G2 pilot has a brain and is using gun pods, he's going to just run circles around you pretty much the entire game.
As he should.
Yeah, and he should.
As he should.
And,
Yep.
and so, that's all I'll say about that. But, yeah.
The other thing that I'd like to see fixed are the weapons themselves. 50 cal is a 50 cal regardless of how it's mounted or where it's mounted or what it's mounted on. You know, the freaking bombers like the B-25 and the A-20, it's just ridiculous how incredibly powerful the top turret and the tail turrets are. It's just ridiculous. But then you get like a 50 from something else and it's shit.
Yeah,
true that.
You take the Corsair 50 and
matter
compare it to
what
the
airplanes,
B-17.
you know, what's flying what. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And same thing with the cannons too. You know, there's certain airplanes where the exact same cannon is just incredibly overpowered, but then you fly something else and it's a piece of junk. All right, next question. Do you guys think that naval units will ever be introduced into War Thunder? You would ask this to me a year ago, I would have said yes, but now most definite no.
I don't know. It'll probably be introduced. Will it be successful? I don't know. They have a lot of things to overcome, and I don't know if they're up to that challenge. We have no testing. We have no plans. We have basically little no information, and they're still working to kind of finish the British tech tree right now for tanks. So
I think we all want to be careful not to sound like haters. We do love War Thunder, and we play a lot of War Thunder. It's still our most played
Beautiful
game above and beyond everything. But when you've got a game, right, and you call it War Thunder, and you still haven't mastered or didn't come close anywhere near to mastering the primary aspect, which is aviation, I just don't foresee how it's possible that you put in naval. And I think until they can seriously conquer the flight aspect of the game, it's foolhardy to even think about putting naval in there.
So here's my thing when I say, like, I don't know if they're up to the challenge. It's not about ship models, and I believe they can make a ship, sail correctly and everything. It's getting the game, because real naval battles took place over like 12, 24 hours, days sometimes, out in the ocean. And how do you make that work within a 30-minute game, right? But yet, how do you keep it realistic? How do you keep the aiming realistic? How do you have all these kind of gameplay things they have to conquer.
There's a lot of holes.
Yeah,
a lot of holes.
And they've basically told us nothing. So they probably don't know themselves. So until you see more information come out, I don't know. I have to see. We'll have to see for ourselves.
Next question. Do you keep a version of all your videos you make, or do you get rid of them after they're uploaded? From Alex.
They're immediately deleted after they're uploaded. They, an average unedited video at 60 FPS, 1080p, all that good stuff. I'd say 10 minutes is about 25 gigs at least, so you can do the math on something like this video. It's going to take up quite a bit of space. I just don't have the space, and so once they're edited and rendered and uploaded and everything, I make sure it's good, it looks good, everything looks right, and then it's deleted. It's just I don't have space for that. YouTube does have the option, though, for creators to download videos they previously uploaded, so if I need to go back and download something and edit it or whatever, nice. I can directly download it through the video manager.
Next question. Looking back on your past, if you could change one thing, what would it be? From Workrot, WKROT. Sorry if I butchered your name. Get a real one.
Why don't you go first, Mo?
Are we talking about past, like, life in general or video gaming?
Life.
That's life in general.
Let's get deep. What does Mo regret the most?
I mean, that's a really nasty question. Yeah. Can I go back and change things? at the risk of sounding like a jerk, I was a really, really, really good athlete, and I never put practice in. I never practiced hard enough. I never put forth the effort. I had tons of natural ability, but I didn't put forth the effort. I would love to have seen how far I could have gone if I actually put forth the actual effort necessary. Probably my biggest regret.
He's talking about the Beer Olympics.
Beer
pong Olympics.
Well, then the best answer is Quasi's mom. I missed out my chance with Quasi's mom.
God. For me, I hated high school. I had a lot of my family was a mess and stuff, and so immediately after high school, I drove from Michigan to Texas to go to college. I just immediately went to the other side of the country and wanted to start basically a new life for myself. Looking back, I probably should have stayed home, got a job, saved up some money, went to a local school, and didn't make before you know it, you had like 10 grand in debt, right? So I wish I would have. I don't know. There's a lot of life experiences I like from moving to a new city by myself and all these friends I made and everything. But I probably should have done the smarter thing.
I have 2 regrets. My first regret is not going straight to college right out of high school. I took a year off. I probably should have gone straight to college. There's some advice there, kiddies. And my second thing, this is going to get kind of deep. My second regret is not being able to say goodbye to my dad before he died. He died when I was 11. All right, next question. Screensaver, stop. All right. Do y'all think that the turbochargers and the superchargers that played a big part in making some of the U.S. planes such powerhouses are properly depicted in War Thunder? From Jim Riddleton.
Well, I don't think any of the superchargers or turbochargers are correct in War Thunder, but there's some planes that are a little bit more frustrating than others. I think that, I can tell you right now, some are. The Dash 5, we had the Dash 3 Hellcat and War Thunder.
Yep.
And it has some features like WEP that's in the Dash 5, which I believe that the Dash 3 did not have.
Correct.
But I don't think the F6F has ever been, to my knowledge, it's okay now. It's average or above average. But I still think that the Hellcat isn't the Hellcat that was in real life and in much capacity. Same thing with the Corsairs and the P-47s. I think maybe they had a bit more, but then again, I'm not a World War II pilot. I couldn't sit here and tell you. And I'm not going to pull up like World War II performance charts and go through all this. I do know that the TA-152 had a huge rework where it was somewhere more believable recently. And it's hard to explain, but I don't think any software can ever model in these turbochargers quite realistically as we'd like them to. Now, for War Thunder, if you ever want to see what we're talking about, you can go to menu, menu, and then you hit game options, and then you go, what is it? You remember what I'm talking about? Menu...
Oh, you mean that thing that you can pull up and you can see what everything does?
Yeah.
I forgot how to get there. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Let me just give you my piece on this. No, I do not think that they're properly depicted in War Thunder. No, I do not think that they will ever be properly depicted in War Thunder. A, because of the overheating problems. Airplanes do not just overheat while they're flying along at 100% power. That just doesn't happen. B, the game does not... We don't fly in the game at altitude. That all you do when you fly in the game is you climb to 22,000 feet and then you immediately dive. There's no sustained anything above 3,000 feet in the game. I mean, honestly, if you take a look at it, pretty much all the flying that you do in the game, all the fighting that you do in the game as well, is 5,000 feet or so and below, and that's it. And nothing's gonna do anything with that at all. That's just way too low of an altitude.
I found what I was talking about. If you hit escape and then go to options, you can see this little thing called Open Map in Browser. You can see the supercharger or turbocharger settings when they activate for different footage and stuff. You can run with that open and see a bit of the in-game mechanics working while you're flying.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. If you guys haven't done it, you should really check it out. It's pretty amazing.
Guys should put a lot of work in it, but like I said, it's good enough for a video game. Let's be real. What Cobey's trying to describe is like a P-51D flew typically at what, 30,000 feet?
30,000 feet, yeah, but the bombers absolutely.
When's the last time in War Thunder any of us can honestly say we had a 30,000 foot dogfight with a 109?
Never.
With a P-51.
Never.
It's been about 2 years for me probably. Yeah, you're right. It's about 15,000 feet and below, and those turbochargers. If you turn on the P-51D, and I believe the second stage will start around 17,000 feet off the top of my head, maybe around there. And so once you go below that, the supercharger goes to like stage 1 or goes to stage 0 if it's low enough, and you're robbing the P-51 power that it would, that you're used to seeing that top speed. Well, that top speed is at, as Cobey describes, altitude.
Yeah, and the higher you go, the faster you go because your whatever. Yeah, two airspeed increases as you increase in altitude. Next question from Huge Dick Mackie.
We're like 12 years old. Why are you laughing at that?
It's awesome.
In your opinion, what do you think was the most effective carrier-borne fighter / bomber of the Second World War?
Hellcat.
Hellcat, I agree, 110%.
Yeah, when you add / bomber in there, you really narrow the field.
When the aircraft's called Ace Maker,
yeah,
it says a lot. There's a lot of the good planes. The Dauntless is something that, the Avenger. There's a lot of great planes. Of course, we need to go to other countries. The Germans wouldn't have anything. The British had the Firefly. Big fan of that.
Yep.
Seafires, whatever. They actually don't do much for me. Gosh, you got the Zero. The Zero is legendary, but the A6M2 was a beautiful plane. The A6M3 was good, and the A6M5, if you read the development, kind of just got more desperate as it went along with changes. But the A6M2 was one of the more brilliant fighters of its time. As his time passed it.
Next question: have you guys tried Indian food? Do you like it, or was it just too spicy for you? From Rohit Venkat.
I've never had it.
I like Indian food.
Nor have I. I'd love to try it. I just haven't had an opportunity yet.
Not too spicy. I like it. Next question. What do you consider more brutal, World War I or World War II? Not purely in terms of casualty count. I mean the conditions and methods of killing and such by the Gravemind.
Well, gas
That's
sucks.
a really good question.
You want to get gas?
I would say World War II World War I by a country mile.
Yeah, you're talking about 2 trenches with barbed wire and guys just getting obliterated.
Well, the reason why the trenches there is because of the machine gun. That was the very first war in this world where we had machine gun versus machine gun.
Yeah, with the act of blowing a whistle and charging across open field and getting cut to pieces.
Yeah,
there was no medevac. You just laid there.
Well, that's the problem. We were still using 17th century, Middle Ages battle techniques and stuff like that to fight until the machine gun came. It was all about make a line and charge for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years until the Maxim came out. And then it changed everything. And it stayed that way until the tank showed up in 1917. That's actually a really good question. All right, next one. Do you guys think there's any way to say the Axis powers could have won World War II, or was there any inevitability about it all? Phew, I can't freaking speak. I'm our buddy Applecatcher.
I want to go first on this one. I don't think that, or at least I want to believe that the Germans would have eventually broken down the Nazi power. I know in Hollywood we want to believe that all the Germans were Nazis and they all, saluted each other and this and that. There were some good people, especially in power, that you read about, that were trying to change things at the end. And I want to believe that, eventually the good Germans would have overcame the bad Germans and the Nazi party would have eventually fallen.
Well, so the key to Japan was natural resources, right? The entire reason why they decided to attack America was for 2 reasons. Number 1, we were providing the bulk of their oil, and number 2, we were protecting the holdings in their steel and protecting the holdings in the South China Sea, so in the Philippines and all that jazz. But here's the ultimate stat for the reason why Japan first never had a chance, right? So after the Battle of Midway, when Japan lost, was it Midway they lost their 3 carriers?
They lost 5 carriers.
They lost 5 carriers, and we lost 1, I believe, right?
Well,
we ended up losing 1, but it was already damaged.
At that point in time, America had 7 carriers under construction. At that one point, Japan had 1 carrier under construction. That's just carriers. I'm not talking about destroyers, battleships, nothing. That was just carriers only. So from a strictly materialistic standpoint, it's like Command and Conquer, the Zerg. There was just no chance as far as enough equipment. But if you go to Germany in that same question, right? Germany had an alliance with Russia early on, right? And Stalin and Hitler talked about splitting Europe up. I honestly believe that there's a pretty good chance, and I have no political alliance towards the Nazis, so please don't think this is the case. But from a strictly strategic standpoint, had Germany not attacked into Russia and simply kept their agreement, I think there's a very good case that could be made that the Allies would not have been able to penetrate Europe, and they would have been able to secure it. I don't think they could take Britain per se, but it would have been a tough call to see if we could have broken in.
I think they would have torn themselves apart from the inside, though. That's my.
I agree with both you guys. Actually, I agree. Japan just didn't have the natural resources to do anything. I mean, shit. You know, their islands and stuff. They were at the end of their supply chain, just the way it is. You know, and that's true with any island nation. Any island nation is going to have that problem. Far as getting natural resources enough.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that if the assassination attempt on Hitler, the one that everyone's famous, you know, that everyone knows about, the one that Colonel von Stauffenberg did,
Tom Cruise, if
it was successful, I think the war in Europe would have been a lot different, because Hitler was weird. Remember, the Me-262 came out a year late because he insisted that it be a bomber and not a fighter.
Yeah.
So I think if Hitler would have been assassinated, and other people besides Goering and besides Himmler and all those people, if they weren't in power, I think that it would have been a lot different. This next question is from our buddy Rex. Describe the first time you tried an alcoholic beverage, and how old were you?
Mo was 2 months old.
Mo came out drinking a whiskey out of the freaking.
Oh my God.
Fetus.
No, go ahead, Mo. Let's hear how it all started.
All right, so this is not a good thing. I was 14 years old, and my older cousin, who, what a dick. Anyways, we were at a concert, and he got me hooked on fruity St. Ives and some malt nasty.
Wow, that's
ghetto
hardcore
beverage,
malt liquor.
Yeah, and that first experience ended 3 St. Ives and a 14-year-old kid. 1 puke later, I swore off alcohol for a couple years anyway.
Nice. Bo?
I just had a beer with my family when I was 17.
Nice.
That was it. Nothing crazy.
I have the worst story. This is kind of stupid. So when I was 16 years old, I went to Red Lobster with a buddy of mine, Curtis, and his parents. And Red Lobster at the time had this drink called the Lighthouse. It was actually a pretty cool drink. It had rum. It had all sorts of stuff. It was like a Long Island iced tea. But they also made a non-alcoholic version of it. And I very rarely go to Red Lobster anyways because I don't like seafood. But the one time I went there, I got it because you were able to take the glass home with you. It was a really cool lighthouse-shaped glass. In fact, I still have it. Curtis's mom ordered an alcoholic one. I ordered a non-alcoholic one, and the bartender made them both alcoholic.
Nice.
So I didn't really feel it until we were driving home, and then all of a sudden I got really happy, really quickly.
Tastes weird.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's that. I still have the glass from that. In fact, I need to find it.
Nice.
Next question. Can you please explain how the TBLF force was formed and how you guys met each other? Combat Smithin.
Originally, it started with Papa Gadoosh and I, who you see maybe around once in a great while. We were poor college students, and Cobey was part of this super elite 1% clan that played Battlefield 2 that we played a server on called Windy City Gamers. And
yeah, but I was but a plebe.
Yeah, but it was like a $10 a month fee to be part of them. So we were like, well, screw this. We'll play on your server, but we'll make our own clan, and we called it TBLF. And we pissed off all the older guys, and eventually we joined them when we had some money, and we became their name. But it's just a fun name. I mean, it doesn't really mean much. The name TBLF comes from Papa Gadoosh was taking a terrorism course, and not I've explained that one. In college in the States, you can take a class on terrorism it's a study of terrorism, not actually learning how to be a terrorist. Okay, let's get that straight. And one of his class assignments was that you must make up a terrorist organization, and God, this is pre 9/11, isn't it? And you have to stand for something. And so we came up jokingly to talk about Liberation Front, and our cause was to get the dollar menu back.
Oh my God!
Because the spicy chicken burrito was amazing, and now it's gone forever. And then so I met Cobey in Battlefield 2 with a bunch of other guys. Mo and I met in a game this amazing game, 10 of 10 IGN game called All Points Bulletin.
Southland.
Go.
Thursday, 10 p.m. TNT. We know drama.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead and explain that, Mo. I'll let you talk.
Yeah. So Quasi and I, friends in real life, we had been playing this APB game, which was a pretty cool little cops and robbers game, and we were I think we were bad guys at the time, and so we're hanging out on the side of the street. It's kind of a open world jobby, and some guy's chasing us, and we're fighting them with guns. You know, we got pistols and a shotgun or something like that, and the guy's in a truck and he's trying to ram us. Anyways, this SUV pulls up, and I use the term SUV very lately. This mountain of a truck pulls up with like a V12 motor and smokestacks and the God knows what else. And this guy hops out with a freaking rocket launcher, which is unheard of. Says, "Is that guy bothering you?" Boom! There goes the police car. Split it into pieces. "Hey guys, what's up?" And that was Bohica. Knew I was hooked. That's my man right there.
Wow.
Don't ask how many hours I grinded for that thing.
Oh, it was ridiculous. I couldn't keep a car in that game because he would just get bored from time to time and blow my car up.
Well, I always used to take those garbage trucks. Remember those big ass trucks that were there?
Yeah, those things were awesome.
Yeah.
So
That's all
all
I
right,
used
one
to
quick
drive
APB
around.
story. There's this asshole. I still hold that 4, 5, 6, 8 years later. I still have a grudge against this guy. There's a player named Dump Truck Man, and all he would do is drive around a fucking garbage truck and ram your fucking vehicle into a wall. And then it would explode and you would die, and then this guy would get out in fucking whitey tighties, 400 pounds, stand over your dead corpse and teabag you and do a fist pump and then get back in the dump truck and drive off. Anyway,
Love this guy.
I'm still pissed off. Like, I'm still
That was
bitter.
the best part about APB was that.
I love this guy.
Anyway, next
That was
question.
the only good part
Next
about
fucking question.
it. All right. Next question. From Evan Choi. Do you think that the lighter version of the P-51 will be added to the game, meaning War Thunder? And he says, I think it was a P-51H, and that is correct, yes. I think it'll be added. I hope it's added. I actually would like to see the H model added, along with the P-47N, as in November.
We're going to get 10 more variants of the D.
We're going to get the Australian version of the D model as well. I hope. It'll be a premium, super souped up, whatever.
Yeah, P-51H should be. Well, I would think it would.
Would be nice. It would be a very nice addition.
I look forward to some nice Mustangs. Some of the early Mustangs just make me cry.
If they fix the F-82, it would be even better. All right, next question. Do you think they should add the Dornier 335 to War Thunder? If so, what kind of battle ranking and matchmaking do you think it should get? From Connor Patty.
Yes, that's a plane that there's been so much interest expressed. It'll eventually come. It is a plane that flew in real life. It's a plane that was spotted, I believe, by the British. I think if I remember the story, a couple Tempests saw it, tried to engage it, outflew them. It's a unique plane. I think it could even be a Tier 4 premium. Battle rating wise, it's going to be higher than you want, and it should be.
Yeah.
It should at least be with early tier jets like the Yak 15, Yak 17. Should be in that 6.0 to 6.7 battle rating. Ideally, in a perfect matchmaking world, it would face things like the Sea Fury, or maybe the LA-9,
Bearcat.
or the F8, F1B. You know, it should be in that type of tiering, but it's War Thunder, so God knows what will actually happen. I don't.
If it's added, and it probably will be added, I'm sure it'll be about the same thing as like a P-47.
Or the Hunter. It could go either way.
Yeah, exactly. It's either going to be 3.3 or 9.0, one of the two. Nothing in the middle. All right, next question is from Mumu. What is the origin of Moevil? From Philip.
Oh, the name? Okay, so, God. Me and my buddy were trying to play a game called EverQuest. And
Fucking
I had never
nerds.
played online games before, so I didn't know what the hell to do. And he's trying to help me make my character, and he asked me, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, what's my name? Josh is my name. I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "You gotta have a name for your guy." And I'm like, "Well, I'm looking around on my desk, and I had a baseball card from a guy named Mo Vaughn." And so we put Mo Vaughn in. That didn't work. And I don't really know how the variation Evil came into play, but it ended up, and hell, it's been my name for 20 years. Eesh, my name, my age.
Wow.
Yikes.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
Next question. What are your plans with YouTube and with the channel? I've been a fan of it for a long time, and I've seen it grow and change. Where do you hope to see it go? From Jacob.
I think you've probably started seeing it the past several months now. We've been basically trying to move into newer games. As you saw, I've been putting up a lot of Rainbow Six Siege. We did a stint of World of Warships. We'll probably do some more of that in the future. What else do we do? We're doing more spin tires here and there now. just different games and trying to get on to newer.
Putting Subnautica in as well.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Subnautica to make some more jumps in development, but just try to focus on newer games. I don't like doing stuff like super alpha. My goal is to avoid games that are up. I don't want to do hype. I hate hype. I hate doing things in early access or super early alpha. I want to show games that are in a decent development state where I could say, hey, spend the money on this because it's worthwhile. So
Sure.
so you won't see a lot of like, hey, check this out because this is a new game of the week. That's 5 lines of code. It might become this. Like I said, we're doing Siege right now. We'll probably do another month or two of Siege, and then you'll see us back off of that probably until the new characters start coming in. The Division is coming in March, or maybe delayed maybe a little bit. We'll see. But I suspect you'll see a lot of Division on the channels and the streams. Just Cause 3 multiplayer is coming. That's going to be huge. That's a lot of fun. I hope to do some community events with that when the multiplayer mod happens.
Far Cry, the prehistoric one?
Yeah, the Far Cry coming out. Cobey and I will be playing that. So a lot of new stuff. Like I said, War Thunder will kind of still be the backbone. But I really hope to mix in a good mixture of other games.
For me, as long as I can have fun. I do it to have fun. I don't do it for any other reason but just cool off and just not think and to have fun. That's
Agreed.
all.
I just enjoy playing games and been playing with Bo for a long time. So
I know you guys get frustrated. I get asked all the time, play this, play that, play this. And we do hear you, and I do consider it, but I've been asked so many times to play Heroes and Generals, and it's not fun for me. And I'm not, it's not fun for us. And you're not going to get, we're not going to play something that we find miserable and pretend to be happy just to put out a video of a game that somebody asked. For us, we're going to pick stuff that we like to play, and hopefully you like watching us play. I think that's a fair thing, and that's what we built this channel on, and I think that's where we're going to keep going with it.
All right, we're almost done. Next question. If you could own one plane in real life, which one would it be? From Jeff.
we could own a plane in real life. That's a tough question. Do I want a plane that I can fly to the Bahamas in, or do I want something I can shoot down whatever I want to shoot
My
down?
cheap ass just went immediately to hangar fees and maintenance costs and fuel.
You can afford an airplane. You can afford the ancillary charges that go
Thank
along
you,
with an
Cobey.
airplane.
Thank you.
So if I was rich, what would I buy? So I'm loaded at this point? I can have anything I want in the world?
Sure.
Yeah, anything.
I'll just fly around
pick-
Donald Trump. Was it 747, 737 he
It's
has?
757.
Yeah, 757. Better, 757. Gold everything. Just
That just answered my question. Then I want an F-22 Raptor to shoot Bo's Trump plane down. That's it.
it'll be like
What I
Air
want.
Force One. I'll be like Harrison Ford. I'll just scream at you. I have a little.
I'm a stealth plane. You won't see
Yeah,
me
but I have a
coming.
little space. I have the little Apollo thing in the middle of my airplane.
Yeah, the little non-existent escape
Yeah.
pod.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I would like an HU-16 Albatross.
That's pretty.
Google it.
That's pretty.
What?
You like had? All right, you've been thinking about this, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I just know exactly what I want. All right, next question from Kenneth. What is your favorite German World War II jet? For me, none.
Really?
Yeah, really. I mean, I don't.
So I'm going to try to
Maybe
convince you
two-
on something.
Maybe the 262 Night Fighter because it's
Well,
different.
hold on.
That's
Let's
it.
just
I
look at the
mean,
262, and in particular the engines, right? The turbine used on that thing was the basis of what pretty much all modern aviation, right? Like,
No, not necessarily. The engines that were the Jumos that were on the airplane, or was the BMWs, one of the two, were the Russians captured a bunch, and that was their first jet engine. That's what's on the Yak. That Yak with the engine underneath.
right? But I'm just saying
It's an ME-262 engine.
the
on it.
262 is a huge leap in aviation.
It is. Yeah, I have no doubt. But okay, I agree.
I'm with Cobey. There's no jets that I really. I mean, to me, World War II will always be a prop war, and there are so many amazing choices on the prop side that. I mean, the P-38, the 1093. I mean, these planes, and reading the books of the guys that flew those planes, it's almost like, great knights and their steeds. It just, there's something that you lose when a jet comes into play and missiles come into play.
What were the first games you ever played, and which ones? Hold on. What were the first games that you ever played, and which were the best games for you so far from Sky Master? Wow, that was hard to read.
I think I'm the oldest guy here, so I mean, as far as the first
I'm
games,
older
I
than you,
mean,
Mo.
are you really? I'm back to Atari. I mean, I played, original Barnstormer and E.T. and things like that. I mean, but the best game. There's really three games in my mind that stick out as game changers for me. These are the games that I played that revolutionized to me what a game was, and most recently on that list is DayZ. You know, the original DayZ, the feeling that you would get in your chest when you were fighting somebody in DayZ. That game was phenomenal at a point. I mean, I know I'm gonna get flamed for saying DayZ, but at a point, that game was revolutionary that I've never felt before.
Well, he's talking about.
But other than that,
well, what Mo's talking about is that all or nothing. You know, you have hours of equipment on you and loot, and you went to this point, and if you die, you died and you lost everything. So it was a high risk of DayZ. Is what he's talking about.
It was hardcore to the max. It was to me that was an experience changer. That is number one. Recently, I mean, above and beyond that, I mean, I would say that EverQuest to me was a game changer. That was a wide open world with adventure. That was pretty cool. And then I guess the original Call of Duty, when I really started fighting people online, kind of took something for me.
For me, I wasn't allowed to have consoles when I was a kid. The first console I ever got, the only console I have, is a Wii that's been sitting in a box now for 4 years. But we did have PCs when I was growing up. And the first game I remember playing was A10 by a company called Dynamix. It was fucking fantastic. I played the shit out of that game. The best game for me so far, probably on the top of my list, is Medal of Honor Allied Assault, MOHAA.
That was a great one.
I still love that game to this day, and it's, 15 years old now?
Mm-hmm.
14 years old now?
My top five, just go top five, like, what I call, games that introduced me to new genres. My first RTS game I ever played was the Command & Conquer Red Alert, and 1,000 hours later, I realized I should probably play other things. From there, I enjoyed the crap out of the first Far Cry, the original one. If you look back at the game now, it looks like, it does not hold up well over time. Half-Life was a big one for me. And Mass Effect, the first one, was the first time I really actually tried an RPG. And Mass Effect... Yeah, Cobey knows that. Like, I've been sucked into Mass Effect now forever.
Yep.
And then Fallout 3 was a pretty big one for me. I'll have to put that one up there somewhere.
I take it back. I had a Game Boy when I was growing up, and I played the shit out of Tetris on that. I remember that. We got a couple more. We got three more questions.
Okay.
You pick main components for your World War II aircraft. What would it look like? For example, Spitfire fuselage, VF-109 BMW engine, and 45mm Russian cannon from Unknown. I think what this guy's asking is if we could have like the ultimate World War II airplane, what would it be? Maybe?
Yeah. Build your own airplane with what you want.
Alright, mine's easy.
Okay.
Very easy.
Go for it.
B-17 with Griffins.
That's interesting.
Yep.
I don't know how I feel about that. You've blown my mind. I'm trying to picture what this would look like. And
B-17 with Griffins and 37mm cannons all the way around.
Oh my god! But just the sound of 4 Griffins running together.
Can you imagine?
And you do the War Thunder sound.
Yeah. Bunch of angry bees.
All right, I'm gonna go more extreme. I'm gonna blow you away with this one. You take a whirlwind, right? Throw some R2800s on there. Yeah, get some horsepower on that whirlwind.
Oh, Jesus.
And then you just pack 4 Hispano Mark 5s in the nose of that bitch, and then you'll be ready to go. But then we'll do the Tiger Cat thing. We'll put some machine guns, some M3s on the wings. For safe measure, of course. What else could I do to that? Well, we'll go back to... Well, and then I want to fork-tail that. Well, so put a P-38 tail on the whirlwind, too, because we got to have a signature look. Yeah, there it is. A whirlwind with that will probably just topple the landing. Let's be real, the landing gear will just crumple with that much weight on it.
Somewhere, some aircraft designers just cried horrible tears.
Ed Heidemann spinning in his grave.
I'll take the Jug with ME-262 engines.
Okay.
And I'll take a bubble turret for my rear guy. My Rio's gonna be in a bubble turret on top of my Jug. And then my guns in the front, I just want 20 mils across the board. I'll take 6 on each side. That'll do it.
Wow.
Yeah. So go ahead and fly that B-17, Cobey. I'm coming.
Oh, that's all right. I'll be ready for you. All right. Second last question from Tanner. What is your favorite aircraft to fly? What is your favorite aircraft to fly in War Thunder, and why?
Boomerang.
Boomerang is a great aircraft.
It is a good airplane.
I think for me, it has to be a 109, and specifically the F variants, the G variants. I love the armament. I love the nose-mounted guns and the energy fighting ability of it.
I'm gonna go 2. I'm gonna say 2. I'm gonna say the A-36. I think it's a great airplane. I love flying it in the game. And then some of the later Spitfires are a lot of fun too for me.
So for me, the Boomerang is this. I think it has one of the better flight models of any aircraft in War Thunder since the beginning, since like 1.29. I've always felt like the Boomerang had a really good flight model attached to it, really smooth. Doesn't shake like crap when the instructor comes on. Like remember back in the old days of War Thunder flight models, you would roll and then the thing would just go nuts.
Messerschmitt tail dance, absolutely.
Yeah, back in those days, the Boomerang never had that issue really.
Yep.
And you always kind of feel like you're the underdog when you're in a Boomerang, right?
Because you are the underdog, and rightfully so.
And it has that perfect amount of maneuverability and punch, and just being. I like killing, like when you kill a P-38 with a Boomerang, you laugh because you can, and you have the right to, and that's just for me.
I think when you kill anything with a Boomerang, you have a chuckle inside you.
If that airplane in the game was 75 to 100 miles an hour faster, that's the only thing I'd fly.
The Boomerang, well, it wasn't that fast in real life.
No, it wasn't. I know, yeah, but I mean, if it was like 100 miles an hour faster in the game, that's all I'd play.
All right, last question.
Last question from our buddy Connor, my second favorite ginger in the whole wide world, even though he's not ginger. Fruit Loops or Lucky Charms?
Lucky Charms.
I agree.
Oh, that's a hard one, man.
This is the one that you're giving the most thought to of all the questions we've
I
asked.
hate to say this, but I love both those freaking cereals. So
Yeah,
here's
Fruit
my
Charms.
thing, right? If I'm legitly eating a bowl of cereal with milk, right, sitting there like a good boy, then I would go Lucky Charms. But I could take a box of Fruit Loops and just pound that thing with no bowl, no spoon.
Just graze on it.
Just graze. I mean, you give me like one of them horse trough things, and I will eat Fruit Loops all day long. Like Mr. Ed, man, I will punish that crap.
Wow.
I will never look at Fruit Loops the same.
Wow.
I haven't had Fruit Loops in 10 years. How bad is that? Maybe
Probably
more.
a good thing.
Yeah, right?
All right, so I think that wraps it up for us.
That's it.
And
Yep.
thanks for listening. We'll do one of these again probably in a few months. We try to do like 3 or 4 of these a year. Coming up, I'm going to do a 12-hour live stream for the 50,000 subs that we're nearing to. And
Oh, that's terrible. That sounds like it just hurts.
Thank you, Cobey.
That's a long day.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be fun, though. It'll be good. And then our next podcast will be on the F3F, the Grumman F3F, but also be including some other early Grumman biplanes. And what else we got working on, Mo?
We do have a World of Warships video coming for you. It's been a long time coming, but we plan on taking Bo's taking his turpits out, and Cobey and I will flank him with Atlantas and see what damage we can cause.
Yep.
Or who friendly fires who first. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.